Dr. Bill, around Athens. July 29th to August 7th. Paul Lerudi meets Greta and me at the Athens airport. Paul and Greta have been co-founders of the Free Gaza movement for the past 2 years, and have been working furiously to get the boats purchased and launched, along with Sharon and Eliza, who live in England, and Mary, who lives in Los Angeles. A taxi takes us to the International Press Center in Athens, where Paul and Greta launch into a press conference with local Greek colleagues translating in Greek. This is intended as a beginning of an intense burst of major international media campaign. For this will be our main defense as unarmed civilians going up against the Israeli military and related spy agencies. The Greek press, along with Al Jazeera and the Independent of London, are all at the conference. We intend to have international media aboard the boats. Endorsements from international organizations are accelerating. After a lovely afternoon meal, I feel like death warmed over. I'm escorted by our Greek hosts to an apartment just north of downtown Athens, where I collapse because of lack of sleep. Greta flies back to Cyprus the next day to be with the Free Gaza movement passengers who are beginning to assemble at the University of Cyprus. Later, I meet my roommate Osama, is Palestinian from a village between Kalkilia and Tulkarem in the West Bank. He is separated from his family in the West Bank and is living in exile in London because of his previous political activism on behalf of Palestinian civil rights. He is an accomplished filmmaker and yet is not even 30 years old. He has been the communications director for the Free Gaza movement and a major organizer. He carries about 5 mobile phones that ring continuously. The requirements of his position keep him in a constant state of mania. Osama talks on the phone with his young sister in the West Bank, whom he cannot see and cannot visit. The Israelis have forbidden him to return home. He is an intense individual because of his life's experiences and very passionate about this project. Osama's colleague is Christos, a Greek cameraman from the Macedonian province of Greece, who is also living in London, where he works with Osama. Christos has good information technology skills, and he, along with Darlene Wallach, figure out how to hook up my laptop to the internet. Darlene Wallach is Donna Wallach's identical twin sister. She is also an anti-Zionist who lives in San Jose, California. She has an information technology background. She is sent out with others after the first night to the SS Liberty, which is hidden in an undisclosed port under a Greek name outside Athens. Now we are living in a secret hid away in a residential apartment here in Athens, while the tenants are off on vacation in the Greek islands. It will become known affectionately as the Speakeasy, also known as the Bat Cave, since it is deep inside an apartment block, on the far side of a courtyard from the street, and one must pass through 3 steel doors to reach it. Another hideaway that shelters fellow activists Paul Lerudi and Bella is a few blocks away. I will call it the Safe House. The 4-star hotel named the Zafolia becomes our meeting place during the following days. Bella, Sharon Locke, is a 32-year-old Australian activist who has been living in London. She too is a major organizer of the Free Gaza movement. Bella has spent nearly 2 years doing logistical work for the project, mostly alone with a computer, but other good UK people have stepped up with a whole string of fundraising events. Now Bella is based in Athens, and is traveling back and forth to the boats. The SS Free Gaza is hidden away in a different port than the SS Liberty for protection. That way, if one boat becomes discovered and sabotaged by the Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, there is always a second boat in a separate and disclosed harbor. Part of my job involves waiting for things to develop. Needing to be patient, and waiting for my Greek intermediaries to arrange local medical contacts. This allows me time to get to know Athens and its incredible wealth of human history and ancient artifacts. On the following night, we have a general meeting at a restaurant in downtown Athens. We meet with Vangelis, who along with several of his Greek colleagues found us the 2 boats we are using after Riyad's suicide meant we had to start all over again. It becomes clear that many have committed their hearts, monies, and souls into this project. I also meet Ken O'Keefe, who has run a dye shop in Hawaii and worked as a human rights activist both in Iraq and in the West Bank. Ken is a former US Marine and has become an Irish citizen in an act of conscious protest of the current predatory US foreign policy. When Bush got re-elected in 2004, I was disgusted too and thought a while about becoming a Canadian. Ken is newly married to a British Palestinian woman from London who is visiting with us now, but has never been allowed to visit Palestine. We eat, drink, and talk late into the night below the ancient Acropolis, getting to know each other while addressing logistics about how we might pull off our high-risk, quixotic plan. If you can't bedazzle them with brilliance, just baffle them. Sent to my friends and family on the 4th of August, 2008, anchors aweigh. Greetings from aboard the SS Free Gaza. We left the port of Piraeus in Athens at about noon yesterday along with our sister ship, the SS Liberty. We sailed directly east through the archipelago, known as the Cycladic Islands where Greek civilization originated more than 6,000 years ago. Then we turned in a southeasterly direction and tonight sometime, we will dock at the island of Rhodes, spend the night, depart for the island of Cyprus in the morning, and then take on more passengers and head for Gaza. Aboard right now, we have members of the Greek Parliament, members of the European Union Parliament, and a relative of former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair. We will take on more dignitaries in Cyprus. Oh, God, this is so exciting and more worthwhile, I think, than anything I have ever done before in my life. Please pray for us. Love, Bill. Of course, this email was made up. If we were going to play the same game that the Israeli Mossad plays, one of by way of deception, thou shalt go to war, why can't we say, by way of deception, thou shalt seek peace? It wasn't until 2 months later, in the form of a baseball analogy that I confessed. Hey, friends. Sorry about the change up I threw at y'all. What we got here is a ball game. The problem is ya never know who's gonna be reading this here email besides us. We, the Free Gaza Bleeding Hearts Club band, are up against a team that likes to play hardball, the Spooks from Tel Aviv. So we been tossin' sinking curveballs, knuckleballs, splitters, and sliders, anything we can throw at them to keep them off kilter. If we throw them nuttin' but fastballs, feed hit him right over the wall and out at the ballpark. The boats would be dead in the water, and it would be a rout. The ball game would be over, and we would have to come back next year with a new team. So like, I was trying to pitch them late into the 7th inning with a bunch of deception screwballs about where the boats are to keep them off course. Then maybe the relief pitchers can take over before they figure all this out. My sincere apologies, Dr. Bill. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Actually, we haven't left for Cyprus just yet, we are behind schedule by 2 weeks. Even though we initially projected a departure from Cyprus on August 7th, we are far from being ready. It's always more complicated than it initially seems. Greek maritime inspectors must declare the boats seaworthy, and since they are old fishing vessels, they need a major tune-up before they are shipshape. Additionally, we have information technology experts who are part of our crew. They are installing a sophisticated communication system capable of broadcasting real-time images to shore via the internet. That way, if the Israeli Navy tries to play rough with us, a group of unarmed non-violent human rights activists, the whole world will be watching, we hope. I'm staying in Athens, while others go out to the boats. I currently have no idea where the boats are being hidden. Vangelis and others want to keep this under wraps, and we are operating strictly on a need-to-know basis, since loose lips can sink ships. We also want to limit the number of people coming and going to the boats. I spend my time trying to develop liaisons with Greek politicians and healthcare personnel. My goal is to acquire medical equipment and pharmaceutical supplies in 2 categories. We will attempt to take medical supplies to the besieged hospitals and healthcare workers in Gaza. Of course, our efforts are only a small drop in the bucket. Our 2 small boats cannot bring sufficient supplies for 1.5 million people who are under this cruel siege. But we will do what we can. Medical supplies for the boat crew and passengers. Since we face the real possibility of being attacked, we must plan as best we can for the worst, while hoping for the best. Of course, we are not the US Navy. We don't have the resources to stock a fully equipped sick bay or a hospital ship. The best we can do is to be prepared to provide first aid for common medical ailments while stabilizing more seriously ill medical or surgical patients before transferring them by air or boat to shore. We must have supplies to provide trauma first aid in the event that we are attacked. If that happens, we might also have to plan for massive evacuation, which is problematic. The nearest shore for evacuation for most of our journey will be hospitals in Israel, the country most likely to attack us. Other alternatives would be Cyprus, Lebanon, or Egypt. If the Israelis evacuate us, they could then try to spin this into some kind of a propaganda victory about rescuing those naive fools at sea. We have already required that all of our boat passengers obtain medical evacuation insurance before coming on this voyage. We are told in these insurance policies that our evacuation insurance is not applicable in a war zone. Fortunately, neither Gaza nor Israel nor the international waters around them have been classified as a war zone. This must come as great relief to Gaza residents who have been through numerous assaults from Israeli F-16s, tanks, and Apache attack helicopters over the past several years. If we do have a medical emergency, or if we are attacked, or have some other disaster at sea, we will have to see if our insurers will honor our policies and pay for our evacuations. Still, this is the best that we can do to mitigate the financial effects of any disaster that might happen to us. From Bella. The 2nd of August 2008. First, I stayed in Athens, where our main Greek contact's wider political circle had volunteered for the job of hosting us, insisting on paying for anything we might attempt to buy, and seeking out obscure things, like helium canisters for balloons, that we wanted. I immediately felt so very welcome and supported on this mad mission. There I met our quietly spoken, awesomely on the case contact who had put such a level of effort into procuring and preparing our boats that I still haven't really got my head round it. We'll buy boats, we said, as if it was like buying shoes. Ha. We had no idea. Thank God our contact did, and instead of telling us how impossible it was to find, buy, renovate, equip, license, and crew 2 boats in the height of national summer holiday, he simply went about doing it. These people. I don't dare think of this as my project anymore. I'm not one of the people who have for weeks begun work daily at 6 a.m., labored hard in the Greek summer sun, and skipped the afternoon break that's supposed to prevent you dying of heat exhaustion. People who've literally been unable to sleep for worry about engines, bridges, and the uneven flow of money from us to pay for anything. They didn't even know who the hell we were, and didn't care, because it was Gaza they were working for anyway. Even now, all I can do is paint bits of boat for them, and in between painting things, beam at these good hard-working folks, and buy them the odd beer. Back to my reward, only half of which is meeting these, my comrades. The other half is that this is all taking place on a small Greek island that doesn't allow cars, only mopeds, one of which we have hired, and I drive gleefully with no helmet. Sorry, Dad, I don't think they sell them here. After boat work and computer work, there is the bright sea to dive in, and in all of this I'm in the company of my tall, dark, handsome Italian colleague. A few days ago, we sat up with our boat into the early hours, at the whitewashed bar opposite, under the stars. We were counting down the hours, until the boat's Greek presence was released, until which they were more vulnerable. I expected this one to disappear in front of my eyes, so I simply sat staring at it, reaching blindly for a series of mojitos that could arguably go on surveillance expenses. No, you people who donated, that was a joke. Apart from diving into the sea with my camera and my phone in my pockets, 1 phone down, 2 to go, and a cash flow problem that had me phoning anyone I knew that could maybe lend us something toward a late EU10,000 that was about to set off a domino effect of delays. Everything has been going well. Tomorrow I must go back to Athens to follow up various loose ends and boss people around,